You're listening to the only podcast that admits they might know what they are talking about.
I hope everyone has a ball.
This is We Might Know Sports with Steffan,
Or I'll just go down there and punch him in the face and call it a day.
Kevin. Gonzaga loses one game and you're threatening him every podcast now. And Cory.
No, he starts working out. Now he's a tough guy.
I am a tough guy.
Oh, he's got that testosterone flowing.
If anybody wants to listen to my podcast on fitness whole pizza in my mouth.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 17. I am your host, Kevin. I am joined today by Cory, and there's someone looking different on your video stream, and you audio people will be hearing someone different. It is not Steffan. It is the one and only Mr. Ben Friedman, who you guys may have seen on our Facebook MMA talks. So welcome, Ben, to the show.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
All right. He is one of our MMA guys. We have another one, but he's obviously not here. So it's all on Ben's shoulders for UFC 211. It is quite the show, quite the card, involving all sorts of good fighters. Are you guys excited for this card as much as I am?
Yeah, it's going to be a pretty awesome card.
I think it's the best card the new owners have put on.
I do like the fact that Marco Polo is fighting in this card. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of him. He sailed the ocean blue, I believe. No, some guy named Marco Polo Reyes from Mexico is leading off the prelim card. We don't know too much. I do like the guy he's fighting against, his nickname, the Texecutioner. I'm just going to give it to him just because of the nickname. But let's actually start with talking about the final fight in the preliminary card, Eddie Alvarez versus Dustin Poirier. I mean, Alvarez loses the belt, and this is what his next fight is. Ben, are you surprised at this?
That he gets to go against Dustin. Well, Dustin's pretty solid. He's had a couple rough fights, but I think it says he's number 9. I think he's probably closer to the, 3 to 7, somewhere in that neighborhood. I don't think it's unreasonable. I think it's fine. You think they're giving him a shot that he doesn't deserve?
No, I'm just saying, like, he had the belt last fight, and his next fight is on the prelims. Do you think that's fair for Alvarez?
What I've heard actually is that as far as prelims are concerned, some people prefer prelims because you get more exposure rather than having to pay to watch these guys fight. They get their name out there. I'm not sure monetarily how rewarding it is for them, but at least it's great marketing if nothing else.
I kind of agree with Ben, although you would think that the champion would have a little bit of notoriety and wouldn't need to be on a prelim. But I do think Eddie Alvarez, even though he was the champ, doesn't have a big fan base. So it benefits him to get his name out there. Whether he appreciates it or not, I don't know.
So I was listening to him on the UFC Unfiltered podcast, and he actually doesn't mind because he gets to watch the main card. He likes the fact that he's basically selling the pay-per-view for the UFC. Basically, after this fight, they're hoping to gain more pay-per-view buys. So it will be interesting to see how he bounces back after the McGregor loss. I see him winning in the second round by knockout. Cory, do you have a prediction?
I think Alvarez will win, but by submission.
And Ben, do you have any guess what's going to go down?
I think Alvarez is going to get knocked out.
Do you? You think that McGregor fight's still in his head, or do you think he's gone past his time?
It might be a little bit of both. But if you listen to him before the McGregor fight and all the confidence that he had, and then getting dealt with so handily by someone that's not even his weight class, right? It's not even McGregor's weight class, although it kind of is. But yeah, after that happens, I mean, it's got to shake you up a little bit. I think Alvarez is a solid fighter all around, but I don't know that he should have been the champ in the first place. I think he's more of a gatekeeper. He's going to weed out the people who don't really want it, but I don't think he's got staying power as the champ. Or
The
as
Underground King is done.
I don't think he's done, but I don't think that I don't think he possesses enough dynamic skills to maintain the belt if he were to ever get it back.
You don't credit his win over Dos Anjos much?
I do think that's a strong fight, but Rafael, I think, is hit and miss, no pun intended there. He's a super strong fighter, but everyone has a off day, obviously.
Yeah.
I think overall, if we're going to say consistency, I think Rafael is a overall more consistent fighter, and I think he's a better fighter than Eddie. I do credit him though. I mean, the guy still took it that day, so that's what the game. That's why it's so fun to watch, because anything can happen. But if they fought 10 times in a row, I would say Rafael wins more.
Fair. All right. So let's move on to the next fight. The first fight in the main card, flyweight, Henry Cejudo. Is that how you say his name, Ben?
I think it's a Cejudo with an H.
Cejudo versus Sergio Pettis. See, this is nice having Ben. He can make sure we say these names right, Cory.
Wait till we get to Johanna. I don't know her name.
So I believe both these fighters have lost to the current champion, Demetrius Johnson. I didn't really research this fight. I just know Cejudo has been definitely on the downs, actually. Just looking at he lost in the Tournament of Champions finale to Benavidez, and he lost to Demetrius before that. So he's on a two-loss streak. Still considered the second best in the division, or second challenger, I should say. It's going to be a tough matchup. It's definitely going to go all 3 rounds, I think. I'd like to hear some of Ben's input if he's got any.
Cejudo impressed me when he first came around. I can't recall the specific fight that I saw, but I think this guy's an ex-Olympic wrestler. Cory, do you know if that's...
I know, I'm not sure, but I am looking at his submission percentage and it's 0, so it's interesting.
Well, wrestler, not necessarily,
Yeah, black belt, yeah.
I think that his, takedown 100% defense, right? He's pretty good. I think if he's on, he's on, but I think he's going to have to wear somebody down rather than, winning the striking. His striking game has gotten better. But Sergio, if he can keep the distance, he should do well. I would still give it to Cejudo, though.
Is Sergio from the same bloodline as Anthony?
Yeah, they're brothers.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Sergio is Anthony's little brother.
Okay.
So Sergio has a second-degree black belt in Taekwondo. From Rufus Sport Kickboxing, and he's got a purple belt in Jiu-Jitsu. He hasn't fought Demetrius yet. Could he possibly, if he wins this fight, Demetrius?
Going from 6 to a title fight?
Yeah. Because, I mean, Demetrius is beaten at pretty much everyone else, so...
Well, Demetrius has beaten everybody, yeah, but it doesn't mean you can start throwing in, like, the low-ranked guys, right?
No.
Yeah, but do you really consider, like, he'd probably move up to 4 or 5?
I think they'll make him fight another top 5 contender before they give him a shot at Demetrius. Because who knows if he's even ready. His team may not even want a shot at Demetrius right away.
That's true.
That's true. If anything, I agree that at least one more fight in between.
For his sake.
Just to touch on, you're like, well, Cejudo's on the downslope, but he lost to Benavidez, who he's pretty scrappy, and I think that that's a reasonable loss. And then Demetrius, those are his 2 losses, right?
But does he deserve a rematch? I don't think that fight against Demetrius was anything close.
Well, is it ever?
That'll probably depend on how great he looks against Pettis, though. What if he beats him in a minute? I'm sure he'll get a rematch.
Yeah, he could. Although Demetrius, Sergio, I think has a less dynamic toolbox. So even if Cejudo does come through and just smash Pettis, it doesn't necessarily mean anything as far as how he'll fare against the champ.
So the number 1 contender, according to UFC.com, is Benavidez, and then obviously Cejudo. Then it goes Ray Borg, Wilson Reyes, and Jazier Formega. And then obviously Pettis. So could you see some movement, especially seeing how Tim Elliott's on the downfall, who was probably the only challenger to Johnson's belt in his 10-time defenses. So I'm gonna take Cejudo by decision because that seems to be his way. I don't see him knocking out the younger Pettis. Maybe if it was against an older fighter, I could see him winning by knockout, but I'm gonna go with Cejudo by decision. Ben, what do you think?
I like that call. I agree.
Cory?
Cejudo by decision.
Go ahead and make it unanimous.
Man, where's the oddity to this? Like, all right.
Apparently is coming. Here's a trailer to it. Someone's got a ridiculous top 5.
Yes.
Yeah, but he's not even here, so it doesn't even matter. So we have Frankie Edgar versus Yair Rodriguez as our next fight. Frankie, I believe, won his last fight. Yeah, against Jeremy Stevens by decision, quite handily.
Frankie's only lost at featherweight once, and that was to Aldo.
For the interim belt. He just got manhandled in that fight. I don't know much about Jeremy Stevens though. Or Yair Masvidal. Hold on a second. Wrong one. Yair Rodriguez. Sorry. We might
Rodriguez is coming off that crushing win against BJ Penn, I believe, where he dominated Penn.
Front kick and punches. Knockout.
Yeah, although as much as I appreciate what Penn's done,
I think Penn's well past his prime.
I think he's washed at this point.
I think he's very, very clean and ready for bed, kind of thing. He's definitely washed up. But it doesn't mean that he couldn't be a good coach or something like that. But his body, I mean, he's put it through the ringer, and so when Yair beat him so handily, it's not like Yair beat the vintage BJ Penn. It's Yair beat an old, already beaten BJ Penn.
Yeah. He has, in his last 3 fights, won performance of the night, fight of the night, and then against BJ Penn also had a performance of the night. So this could be probably, I'm going to call it fight of the night. This is going to be my fight of the night. Yeah, I think this is going to be a good one to watch. I think you're going to see maybe I'm gonna say Frankie by submission just because he hasn't happened in a while, so and we'll say second round. Cory, what do you think?
I'm going to go with Edgar by decision. I just think Rodriguez will be a little bit confused by the foot speed and the hand speed of Frankie Edgar. Edgar's very quick. And like I said before, the only time Edgar's been beaten at featherweight is Aldo, and Aldo quite possibly could be the greatest featherweight of all time. So I just like Edgar's experience and his athleticism in this one. Rodriguez is a live dog. He's got a puncher's chance. But I like Edgar by decision.
I think I'm gonna have to go opposite here. I'm gonna go with Yair. I think that he's still pretty wet behind the ears as far as coming into it, but he's got all the athleticism that he needs. I don't think Frankie is gonna be able to take Yair down and do what he needs to do to get the submission. I think it's going to be Yair keeping Frankie on the outside with his little bit of reach advantage, but also just his wily quickness. And I think that each fight that Yair goes through, he's learning quite a bit. I mean, he's still pretty new to the sport, or at least to this level. And I've got Yair by, I'm going to go TKO second round.
All right. So we got a little change up in pace. It's nice. Good difference of opinion once in a while. All right. Moving on to the last fight, before the two title belts. Damian Maia versus Yuri Masvidal. Maia is coming off a submission win versus Carlos Condon, and Masvidal is coming against a win versus Cerrone in Denver back in January. I think that win for Masvidal was kind of more Cerrone didn't show up because he had just fought like 6 weeks beforehand. I think he just took that fight so he could fight in Denver. With that being said, I think Masvidal is a pretty good fighter. However, I see Maia winning this by a submission. Ben?
Do you guys see that standing $200,000 bet that Masvidal has with Dana White? He's like, you can't put someone in front of me that's going to be able to beat me. I'll put up my own 200,000 against it. Anybody, apparently. I think Masvidal, he's got momentum. It should be a really good fight. I'm excited for it. I think this one might be the fight of the night, and just because they're two very competing styles. You've got a striker, and this guy has nothing but he's oozing confidence, like a Conor McGregor, except I think he actually believes it. And then you've got Damian Maia, who, from all reports that I've heard off of Joe Rogan and all that stuff, anyone who's sort of rolled with him, he's got like freak gorilla chimpanzee strength when it comes to grappling, which is probably what it would take to put this fire out. So I'm really excited for this fight. I am going to give it to Masvidal, though. Masvidal, I think he's just on a tear. And the Cerrone thing, I think Cerrone needs to let his body heal a little bit and just take a little bit of time away instead of fighting over and over and over. I totally agree with that. That wasn't necessarily the best Cerrone, but Masvidal spanked him. And it was all one-sided. There was no chance that I could see for Cowboy to come out of that one without the loss.
Definitely agree. Corey, what do you think?
I'm going Maia by a submission in the second round. Just because, again, I go with experience. Maia has, like you said, he has Carlos Condit. He recently beat Matt Brown. He's actually on a 6-fight win streak. So his confidence is going to be high too, I think. Yeah, really, that's about it. That's all I got to say. That should be a good fight, though, especially if Masvidal can clip him early and make it interesting.
All right. And moving on to the Women's Strawweight Championship. Joanna, you got this, Ben?
Jacek, something like that.
And J check. All right, Corey, your attempt.
I'm just calling her JJ.
All right. Joanna versus Jessica Andrada, I believe is how you pronounce her last name.
Raj, something like that. That's what I've heard people say.
I
don't speak Portuguese.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know. Whatever. I don't care. Joanna's going to win this by knockout, probably in the 3rd round, I'm going to say.
A late knockout.
Yeah. Because in her last couple fights, she hasn't really started in the first round too hot and then just laid it on later rounds usually. She lets her stamina talk. Cory, what do you think?
I think Joanna in the first round knockout.
Interesting.
I mean, her last 3 fights have gone to decision, but they were clearly in her favor. Basically, her opponent had a chin that would stand over 200 punches. Because she just lays on the number of punches in each round. Ben, what do you think?
Did you guys watch the Embedded that they put out? I think it was today.
No, I haven't had a chance to.
Oh. Jessica was quoted as saying, she's like, yeah, people think that, they talk about my attacks, but my chin is just as good. I'm going to take punches and just keep going, which doesn't sound like a strong career move as far as, a long career. But I actually don't know a whole lot about her. I feel like Joanna's going to be able to test the chin because she seems to put out her work output is higher than anybody I've seen. It's ridiculous. But I would say probably Joanna by decision in 5.
In 5? All right. And then for the final fight of the night, Stipe Miocic versus Junior dos Santos. All these wacky names are getting me all flustered over here. Miocic, current champion, has defended his belt once successfully against Alistair Overeem. He defeated Verdum. Yeah,
Fabricio Verdum.
there you go. For the heavyweight championship. Why do these fighters have to have such complicated nicknames just in general? Can't they just be good old American fighters with easy names to pronounce? So the last time these two have met before, and Dos Santos is the last one to give Miocic his last loss on December 13, 2014 by decision. It won fight of the night. It was quite the battle. I watched some of the replay, and he ate a lot of they both gave each other shots. I mean, I will save my pick because I've been picking first, and I'll let Ben make the first pick.
All right. So, first of all, I was looking at Stipe and I was like, this guy kind of looks like a cross between somebody and Robert De Niro. What do you guys think? He's got some sort of a little bit of De Niro going on there.
Shave his face.
I don't know. But I'm going to have to give this one to Stipe. When they met last time, I believe that one went the distance and got also fight of the night or performance of the night, whatever the bonus was. And these guys both put it out there. But you better believe Stipe, A, wants to defend, of course, his belt, but B, wants to avenge that loss. And I think he wants to avenge it in a way that does not result in a decision. I think Junior is a great fighter, but he also prided himself mostly on his speed in the heavyweight division. I think Stipe is pretty fast, and I think Stipe is pretty crisp as well. And so if he's sharpened up the tools that he needed to for this specific fight, I think Stipe wins. I'm going to go TKO 3rd round.
Okay, and Cory?
I think it's going to be a slugfest again. One thing you didn't mention is Stipe also has beaten Roy Nelson, Mark Hunt, and Andrei Arlovsky, so he's got some good names under his belt.
Mm-hmm.
Miocic is also a Golden Gloves boxer, So I feel like his striking is a little more refined than Dos Santos, even though Dos Santos definitely has some crack, has some power. So I'm gonna go with Miocic in another close one, but I think he'll take it. Probably a decision again.
I wanted to touch on the Marco Reyes fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we didn't get any predictions there, but I think Marco Polo wins if he can take the other guy to deep water.
Oh, okay. Ah, that's going into our intro anyway. So my pick, I'm gonna pick Miocic basically because ever since Dos Santos defended his belt against Frank Mir, he's lost one, lost one, lost one. So going with the odds, he's gonna lose. With that type of theory, he hasn't really fought a lot in the last 2 years, 3 years actually. Since the Miocic win, he's only fought 2 other fights. So I'm gonna go Stipe knockout. It's gonna be a late knockout. I'm gonna go 4th round. So we'll see how that comes out. See if us crack MMA watchers get what we wanted out of this. I think it's going to be the best card so far this year. Although there is talk of John Jones meeting Daniel Cormier end of July for that matchup number 2. Still in the works. Basically, it's on John Jones to accept it if he takes it. Do you guys think it's going to be a good fight or not? After watching Cormier's last fight, he didn't really look too impressive. I felt Johnson more or less lost that fight than anything. I feel that it's just going to be ugly because you're going to have John Jones with ring rust versus Cormier, who's just aging and injured. Corey?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. If I was John Jones, I'd take a fight before going right at DC just to shake some of the rust off, get his timing down. That's what most fighters lose when they're out for so long is your striking timing. So once he gets back in that rhythm, I think he'll be all right.
All right. And Ben, I remember Dana White saying that if Cormier doesn't fight Jones, he's fighting Manawa, which would leave Jones either Alexander Gustafsson or Glover Teixeira or Marcio Rua, one of those top fighters, probably as that warm-up fight. Is that really even a warm-up fight if he's fighting Gustafsson, who arguably was his toughest fight so far?
Who arguably, if I could jump in, won that fight. I think Gustafsson won that fight pretty clearly, and they just gave it to Jones. It sucks because Gustafsson sort of fell the wayside. He could have been on top for a long time, in my opinion.
So hyperextended his elbow.
If Jones doesn't get the title shot right away and he gets Gustafsson, I think Jones is in trouble with that ring rust that you were talking about. I think that if Jones gets Mauricio Shogun, Jones wins that one pretty easily. Who was the other person that it could have possibly been?
I'm gonna say it's probably gonna be Glover Teixeira.
Glover was on a tear for a long time, but he sort of fell out of the limelight. I haven't been following what he's been doing. After that one, who was it? It was him versus Rumble, where we all thought that Rumble uppercutted him and a tooth came out.
Oh yeah. And they made that meme with I believe I can fly, and it went out into outer space and everything.
Yeah. But to talk about the fight that most likely will, but certainly should happen, is the rematch. I actually give it to Jones over Cormier, even though Jones has been sort of away for a long time. He's got the champion mindset. And in his mind, he definitely believes that he's still the champion. He's got all the tools that it takes, that freakish wingspan.
I mean, technically speaking, if Jones is the champion, because Cormier never took the belt, and I guess that's another debate we could have. But I just realized Gustafsson versus Teixeira is the next matchup at the end of May for those two fighters. So I'm gonna guess if Jones doesn't take Cormier, it's gonna be the winner of those two.
Nice. I
That would be the wise move, seeing how UFC is struggling for ratings. I mean, you need something sexy for him.
Oh, that's sexy. All right.
But it is definitely debatable that John Jones is the champion or not, because I mean, usually it involves someone beating the other fighter or the other fighter retiring. But seeing how he has technically never really lost other than by one technicality, I would definitely consider Jones, when he comes back, the champion, or at least I can see why he's got that shot at Cormier right away.
You're talking about the technicality being when he got the win in the decision against Gustafsson?
No, I'm talking about the 12-6.
Oh, I agree. I was just trying to make a joke. But yeah, I think that he beat himself. Don't do drugs.
Stay in school.
Hard run away.
No, if you're drunk, run away. That way you can't get. This isn't a lawyer podcast, is it?
It's not legal advice.
Yeah.
Yeah. If Jones can get his shit together, John Jones, I think Jones wins against Cormier. Cormier is getting pretty old. He's like an ice cream cone sitting on a warm day, you know?
Just melting away.
Pretty soon it won't be anything left.
I mean, he mentioned how much he struggled with Towelgate there and losing his weight. So
That was bullshit. What did they say? 31 pounds over on fight night?
I don't know. I didn't hear any of that. I just knew he struggled, and that whole towel. You can't tell me you didn't help yourself with that. So
they had to double it up. Yeah, one towel wasn't going to be enough.
He's a big boy. All right, so I wanted to play you this clip from episode 14. Our co-host was going on a rant of why he thought McGregor was the pound-for-pound best champion, and then Cory asked this question. Let me pull it up for you.
I don't know.
Steffan, I'm putting you on the spot right now.
Put me on the spot. Come
Who's
on.
the top 5 MMA fighters right now, then?
Oh, don't even get me started. We're going to throw McGregor number 1, numero uno.
Where's Cormier?
We'll probably throw – I'll even throw this little guy, Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson.
Little guy.
This little midget guy.
You should go check out his gym when you come to Seattle.
I feel like he should be in, like, I don't know the politically correct word, but little people wrestling or something. That's where I feel like he belongs. And but I'll say he's number 2. For 3, we'll probably go for 3, probably gonna go with are we going all time or right now?
Right now.
Oh, right now, okay. Let's throw out a hypothetical. It could be John Jones, maybe. John Jones might be up there. And, number 4, just because he's relevant right now and actually fighting, we'll throw DC in there. And then number 5, we'll probably we'll throw Nunez. Why not?
So, on behalf of We Might Know Sports, his words are not reflecting on myself or Cory. So with that being said, this whole conversation spurred another segment of the show that we can't do without him. So we won't be doing that today, unfortunately. I know everyone watching is sad. However, I did ask Cory and Ben to come up with their own. I saw your reaction, Ben. First, I want to ask, what do you think?
I think it's bullshit. First of all, they give Conor McGregor number 1. This guy hasn't even defended any belts. Giving him everything. Connor has done 0 defenses of titles. Oh, I got 2 belts, blah, 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 at the same time. Yeah, you didn't have to defend your first belt within a fucking year. Unbelievable. I think he did a good job marketing. He's the number 1 pound for pound marketing fighter in the world. But go ahead and defend a belt once, and then let's see what goes on, you know? He got that real quick 13-second knockout. He's been riding that for a long time. Where's the rematch? If anything, Aldo deserves that rematch, and I'm pretty sure Connor is like, "Holy shit! I just won the lottery. I don't want that fight," kind of thing. I also think it's bullshit what he said about Mighty Mouse. I think Mighty Mouse would fuck up people significantly larger than himself, which, according to that guy, is everybody. But yeah.
I did mention I wanted to take him to his gym when he comes out at the end of the month. So we'll see if that actually happens. I doubt it, but
yeah, that would be eye-opening or closing, depending on how into it Mighty Mouse got with him, huh?
Yeah. I am noticing UFC does. If you're interested in joining the rankings, now that you're a member of the We Might Know Sports podcast, you can submit an email and you could possibly participate in the UFC fighting ranks.
Yeah. Not for me. Maybe that guy. So, yeah, top 5. So, can you give me a quick rundown of what his top 5 were?
All right. So, his was Connor, Demetrius, John Jones, even though he hasn't fought in a year. And then it went Cormier, and he threw Nunes in. UFC current pound for pound top 5 is Demetrius, Connor, Cormier, Aldo, and Garbrandt.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah, I actually did a little research and got ESPN's top 5, Sharedog's top 5. I mean, you see a lot of the similar names coming up over and over, but what I do like about what was the guy's name? Oh, sorry,
Steffan.
Steffan. What I do like about what Steffan said was he threw Nunes in there because she is a badass. But I don't care personally for pound ratings. It's like who would win, Superman or Batman or blah blah blah. It's apples and oranges at different times, and I think more of a reasonable thing would be to say, in the men's division, with like a 50-pound spread or something, rather than who's the best possible fighter of all time, and that lumps in men, or not all time, but I mean currently men, women, blah blah blah. There's not enough spots. It's ridiculous. There's so many people who would excel in a fight versus certain people, but not others. Everyone's got a different weakness.
Corey always likes to point out it's a matchup of styles, and just because this person hasn't lost or is beaten.
Right, I just don't like the algebra theory that if fighter A beat fighter B, then he can beat fighter C. That's not true.
I think that's a wise statement there, Corey. I agree with you.
That's why I keep him on the show. That way I don't have to deal with the absurdity of certain people's top 5s.
McGregor, number 1.
I didn't put McGregor first.
I do agree with Ben that these pound for pound lists are really just masturbation for nerds over who's the best fighters. I don't like.
So let's masturbate. Let's go.
And ticket sales. I think that's designed for the people who don't necessarily catch, the stuff to formulate their own opinions. And like, oh, I saw that name. Oh yeah, he's like number 3. Oh, I'm gonna buy that pay-per-view or something, rather than seeing it and making your own decision. They do it for you so that they can sell more stuff. That's my opinion.
Okay, but with that theory, what about Demetrius Johnson, who is the number 1 on probably everyone's list right now because he hasn't lost in 5 years? and he's usually got one of the lower ones because he's fighting in that 125 that people find boring.
That is true, actually. Well, where's Nurmagomedov? I mean, this guy's 24-0. Can't even get a title shot, you know?
He's 14th actually on the pound for pound list on UFC.com.
How is he farther down than some of these other people, including John Jones? And he's not even
Jones isn't even on the list.
He shouldn't be. He hasn't fought in over a year.
Sharedog.com. They put Jones number 1.
Well, don't go to those type of websites, and you won't have these problems.
Should I just go directly to the propaganda source?
Yes.
I feel like it's there's no point. It's like herding cats as far as trying to figure out who's what. Who comes up with these in the first place? People just vote?
Yeah, media.
Yeah. Media.
It's all media talk. I do find it interesting that even though Cody Garbrandt hasn't even defended his belt, he's ranked number 5. And Dominic Cruz, even after his loss, is considered 8.
Is he above TJ?
Yeah. Dillashaw's number 13. And if you're looking at the bantamweight, Dominic's the number 1 contender still.
Who's the first heavyweight on the list? Because they always get screwed on pound for pound rankings.
Stipe is at 6.
Oh, they got Fabricio Verdun on number 1 heavyweight. Cain Velasquez. I feel like he's pretty good.
What are you looking at?
UFC.com rankings.
Oh, you're looking at the contenders. I was looking at the pound for pound. Sorry.
Oh. Well, you said for heavyweight, right?
Yeah. I mean, if I was to throw out my 5, it'd be Johnson, your favorite McGregor, and then I'd probably throw in Joanna and Nunes to round out the top 5.
You put Johnson on there even though he's not an active fighter?
Demetrius Johnson? He just fought.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was thinking John Jones.
No, I didn't throw Jones.
No.
You named 4, Kevin. Who's your 5th?
5th? I'd probably throw Khabib because he hasn't lost and they're not giving him that title shot. So I still think just because they haven't given him that title shot doesn't mean he doesn't deserve a spot. If you can taunt or yell at Dana White to give you a fight in the middle of your current fight and still win, I think you deserve to be in the top 5.
I agree. That was versus Michael Johnson.
I believe so.
And he spent his corner time or his break also trying to plead his case. Isn't that right?
Yes.
What?
I mean, the fact is that his last fight was canceled because of weight cutting. So there's that, but I don't know. I agree more with Joe Rogan about weight cutting. I think you should fight at your more natural weight than having to cut down to a certain weight.
Like I said before, if you put a rehydration clause in, that would totally prevent all this weight cutting.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, they have that IV clause, so they can't take any more IVs and everything. So, Corey, do you want to throw out your top 5? I know you made one.
Yeah, I put, like you said, it's too hard to really pick. So I just went off of what they've done as far as their credentials. I went with Johnson first. Then, if you go by that, I mean, he tied the defense record. I guess you got to throw McGregor up there because of his weight class jumps.
Could he even get back to 145 ever?
I don't think he will. I don't think he
technically doesn't. He's not the champ of that division anymore, though. So
Well, and there I have Aldo because I give Aldo credit. I don't think he can be discredited for a 13-second lucky punch.
Was it luck though? Was it?
It was great timing. So I mean, I guess it's not totally luck. It was good timing. And then I have the girls. I have Joanna and Nunez. Just the only one I'm iffy about is I kind of agree with Ben is throwing Connor on there, but I really didn't see anyone else unless we do count John Jones as being active.
And Ben, did you want to throw out a list or?
I'm kind of against the list, but I'll still put one together here. I'm just going to look at what we got going on.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, go for it.
I was just going to mention, Dana White did mention, speaking of McGregor, that this past weekend there was a boxing match. Is that what you call it, Corey? I believe it was a boxing match.
Yes.
I did watch some of it. We'll get into it in just a second, but basically the winner ended up fighting. Who's he fighting?
He will be fighting Gennady Golovkin on September 16th, Mexican Independence Day.
Which was, according to your favorite person, Ben, Dana White, the fight date that they were going to have Mayweather versus McGregor. I don't know if that's actually true because that seems more or less just to keep the topic relevant because they seem to like to keep bringing it up every week.
Why not wait till next year and put it on St. Paddy's Day if you're going to have an Irish fighter?
Have it on St. Paddy's Day? Is that going to be on a weekend, though? That's the thing.
Yeah, why not?
I don't know. St. Paddy's Day is the 17th, so.
Oh my God, I can't remember this guy's name. There's this Japanese fighter, Corey, maybe you'll recall. He's like amazing at submissions, and I think today is probably the only day that I would forget his name, but he would be on my top 5 list. So I'm just trying to do a little research here.
He's from another league, right? Not UFC, correct?
Not
or is
UFC.
he?
I
Right.
think he actually refused to fight in UFC.
That's what I thought. I know who you're talking about too, and I don't know his name.
I could just remember part of his name. That'd be nice.
So St. Paddy's Day does fall on Saturday.
Saturday, yeah.
Coming. So.
Yeah, I really think that's a possibility.
That'd be interesting to see. Or do you think that's going to be McGregor's return to the UFC?
It could be that.
I think it would be more or less. I think they want to get this fight as soon as possible because Mayweather's only got so much time.
Would you think of, or maybe you didn't see it, that the Showtime boxing director said he doesn't think the UFC will allow Conor to box because once he makes $70 million in boxing, he'll have no interest to return to the UFC. Do you think that's true?
I don't think so. I think he's just going for his big paycheck and then he'll just kind of.
Once you're that rich, though, why go back to getting punched in the face?
I don't see him fighting after that, actually, after this payday.
Right. That's what he's saying.
Riding, I see him retiring, and just to make Ben even more furious, riding with the belt and people considering him one of the best. Because, I mean, Mayweather did it. If Mayweather wins this fight, he goes 50-0. And what's he got to lose against basically amateur boxer?
Nothing. That's why the fight's a joke.
That's true. It's a moneymaker. And that's actually, in my opinion, what UFC's become too. They're not giving people who deserve the shot, like Nurmagomedov, a chance.
Joel Romero. I mean,
yeah, they're just giving it to people who are putting asses.
GSP, who hasn't fought in 3 years now, a title belt and not his weight division against Michael Bisping, who's had that belt in tie up for over a year now. Like, give me.
Bisping should not have that shit. Oh my God, that fight was bullshit. Oh, that's the biggest flop ever, man. I found that guy's name, by the way. It's Shinya Aoki. I put him in my top 5.
Aoki, yep.
Yeah, that guy is amazing, and he's still active too. So I just double checked that. I feel like most of the UFC, the big UFC names, they're all aging and they're losing their way. At one point, they were all awesome, but they're trying to bring up a new class, or a new generation of fighters, and I feel like there's not a whole lot of. It's like too big of a gap between the young guys and then like the old vets. You know, there's not enough in between.
Is the best fighter of the new generation Cody Garbrandt, do you think?
I like what he's doing with Dillashaw on the Ultimate Fighter. I haven't gotten to watch it, but I've listened to both of the fighters' interview, and the fact that there was already a rivalry between Alpha Male and TJ to begin with, Cody's training camp. I definitely like where they're going with that, and I think it's definitely well deserved. I heard the numbers for the show itself are at an all-time low. So, I mean, it's the 25th years of a reality TV show. No one really cares. But I think this drama between the two camps is definitely going to help sell. I liked watching Cody fight against Cruz, and I definitely want to get that fight. Definitely could see it being one of the headliners for that July 8th card. Whether or not that actually happens is yet to have officially been announced, I think. So we'll see.
Just speaking of TJ Dillashaw and back to this Conor Mayweather thing, TJ Dillashaw went to train with, since Mayweather retired, who a lot of people believe is the pound-for-pound best boxer, Lomachenko. And TJ said he failed to even land more than 5 punches on him in sparring. And he said that was just, he wanted to bring that up to let people know, don't buy McGregor Mayweather, because if Mayweather's even better than that, then what's Conor going to do? And I agree. So hopefully people don't waste their money. Unless Mayweather wants to make it interesting. That's the only way it will be.
Is this going to be one of those $100 pay-per-views? Because
of course, especially if McGregor's demanding $75 million.
Where can I watch it at a bar? Does Buffalo Wild Wings buy these type of fights?
You know, actually, what a lot of places are doing, a lot of the movie theaters are showing these fights now for $20, which is
That's pretty good.
That's how I started watching Mayweather's last few fights, because I refused to pay $70 for them.
Yeah.
I just went to the theater, watch it on the big screen for $20.
Get a bag of popcorn for $10. There's 30. Call it a day. Pre-game out in the parking lot if you really want to drink.
Right. To touch on, you said 25 years of The Ultimate Fighter, but I just did a little research, and it started in 2005. They do more than one season per year.
Well, 25 seasons.
I know.
It's nice to have a stat corrector, though. Thanks. We're always looking for one on the show.
Oh, okay, all right. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, you're not ruffling any feathers. I don't care. That's why the show is called We Might Know Sports.
And then to touch on your question, Corey, do I think that the best of the new generation is Garbrandt? I think Garbrandt's certainly up there. I actually don't know a lot of these younger fighters, so I wouldn't be able to say for sure, but he stands out.
That's why I asked the question, because I don't myself know many of the younger fighters, so I was wondering if maybe you knew more.
I don't.
The UFC doesn't seem to be focusing too much on younger fighters right
now.
No,
they aren't
either.
letting go of their stars. They won't let go of the older guys yet.
And they keep bringing past stars back.
That's
like BJ Penn, and you got George St. Pierre coming back. Like, come on, just stop, please.
Yeah.
Next thing, they'll bring Lesnar back.
They already did. That didn't work out for him.
No, he lost to Hunt, didn't he? Who?
No, he beat Hunt, but then tested positive twice.
Okay, that's
different tests.
Yeah.
So he also was suspended for a year, the same amount of time John Jones currently is. So,
except he has no intention of coming back in the first place.
He made his payday and ran
$2.5 million. And it's true that if Mark Hunt's point was, if they test positive, why is the Nevada State Athletic Commission getting the fine money? Right, it should go to the other fighter. And it should be more than just, 10% of the purse or something?
Yeah.
because the other fighter's the one who's in there getting his ass mashed in by a roided up gorilla.
Someone that's
Well,
breaking the rules.
in my opinion, Lesnar should have never been allowed in anyways, because he was allowed to juice all through his WWE days. So you're allowing a roided up person in, whether he wasn't cycling at that time or not. He already has an unfair advantage. He was allowed to build his muscle illegally.
It's true. And actually, there was a cover up there apparently where they had taken the test sample or something, but then they agreed to not test it or whatever until the fight went through. I can't remember specifically, but that came out as well. And I think that's partly why Mark Hunt sued. He sued Dana White, the UFC, and also Lesnar. So you're 100% correct. It makes a huge difference if you build that muscle, but I mean, you don't even have to think about that because they try to cover up his juicing. He didn't stop juicing when he's getting ready for that fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember he was one of my favorite fighters to hate. I was so happy when Mir beat him.
Yeah, well, Mir, yeah, that was pretty awesome. But Mir got mashed in.
Yeah, I know.
I remember, I think it was Joe Rogan was like, man, it's like he's hitting with those big lunch boxes or whatever. Oh, man. My phone looks like it's about to die because I did not prepare well.
That's okay. I was actually gonna end this. So it's been a fun hour of MMA talk with someone other than Cory and the show. So thanks for adding that third dimension, Ben. It's been a great time having you on, and we'll definitely have you back on.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Kevin, and thank you, Cory. I really enjoyed chatting with you guys.
All right. And I'll talk to you later, Ben. So thanks for joining us and enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
Rock and roll. Later, guys.
Later.
Bye.
All right. With Ben gone, we can go to Cory's favorite subject, the NBA. All right. So I've been watching a little bit. I do know that Cleveland just swept the Toronto Raptors last night, right? Yeah, last night.
And I believe you picked that series right.
I don't have the list up, actually. I made it convenient for everyone to see what they made, and then I just didn't pay attention to the list. What else have I missed? Because I haven't really been watching this week.
The other thing was, again, Washington tying it up last night, tying the series at 2-2, and Houston tying the series up at 2-2 against San Antonio. The Boston-Washington series, they both were able to hold at home, and the Houston-San Antonio series, they both are split. They both split at home. The other series I'm not mentioning because I think it's a foregone conclusion is Golden State-Utah. Golden State's up 3-0, heading and Game 4 in Utah. I think that series will be over tonight.
So I really don't want to mention who picked it in full, but it was not me.
Oh, the Golden State one?
No, the Boston or the Cleveland game
series. It was Steffan?
Yeah, it was Steffan.
Oh.
You picked it in 5, and I picked it in 6. So we all picked Cleveland, and he who is not here picked it in 4.
I'm pretty sure you and I picked Golden State in 4, though.
Yeah, we did.
Yep.
And he picked it in 5. So we'll see how that series goes. It's the NBA, so I'm sure there'll still be one series going on next week.
I think the real question is, do either of us think that it won't be Cleveland Golden State?
I think I don't see it not being.
Yeah. I know I originally picked Cleveland Houston, but now after seeing a lot of the playoffs, I'm not sold on that.
Yeah. I was actually going to mention that because when I was translating the list onto our sheet that we have, I noticed I didn't write down the West winners because I don't think we talked. I think I got distracted more or less with you and the Spurs, and wondering if you thought Houston was still going to go to the West.
I still think they're going to beat the Spurs. I just think they have too much firepower, but I don't know with Golden State. Golden State losing their coach doesn't even seem to affect them. So their talent level, I think, is just so much above everyone else in the West. And obviously the same with Cleveland. The other question we're going to have soon is, are Cleveland and Golden State even going to lose before they get to the finals?
I could see either one losing one game. I mean, everyone's bound to have one bad game. Has there ever been a time when a team went to the finals without losing?
Yeah, they mentioned it today. It was the last team to do it was the Lakers, and it was the Kobe Shaq era. I just don't know what year they did it in.
Yeah. So it's been a while.
It's been a while.
But it has been done, and I think the playoffs were a little bit different. Wasn't there like
There was a five. There might have been a five game series in the beginning when Shaq. There has been before. I don't know if it was when Shaq and Kobe were playing or not.
Yeah. So, I mean, anything can happen. I definitely wouldn't say both teams make it with a sweep. I see one of them losing. If I was to go out on a limb, it would probably be Cleveland, because they seem to have that one bad stretch at the end of the season this year. From what I remember,
they did in the middle of the season.
So
the middle to the end, they had a stretch where they weren't playing well.
So maybe that comes back, especially I believe with the NBA playoffs, it goes when that series ends. They still take that time off before they start the next series. Correct. So I see maybe with both of them sweeping, having that little rust in maybe game one, and Cleveland probably being that team having that loss.
The other quick note would be like LeBron playing out of his mind in these playoffs. His percentage from the paint is higher than Shaquille O'Neal's playoff percentage from the paint, and his percentage from 3-point range is higher than Steph Curry's career percentage in the playoffs right now this year.
Yeah, I saw that stat.
He's just playing unbelievable right now.
And finally, you have that type of caliber. That doesn't also translate to it being a better team. I am definitely interested, and I probably will watch every game of that NBA Finals if it happens, because of the rematch factor and there being some bad blood.
Yeah,
with Durant.
I think it was interesting too that the NBA playoffs, actually their ratings are much higher than last year's, and I found that interesting because it seems like everyone just expects it to be Cleveland and Golden State. So what are
I will say this: if I had to pick today between Cleveland or Golden State, I couldn't give you a winner right now, because it would go back and forth for me. It just depends on the day at this point.
At this point, I would go with Cleveland just because I'm not totally sold on Golden State coming out. I'm very curious what Houston can do.
All right. So we'll talk more about the NBA playoffs more in depth probably next week with Steffan, if he actually pays attention. And we'll move on to the Stanley Cup playoffs, because they are a little bit quicker, and they already have one team into the conference finals with the Nashville Predators winning the series 4-2. And once again, unfortunately, Steffan got this as well as I did.
Yeah, but I'm out already. Another team out for my finals, I think.
So, yep, you pick St. Louis versus Pittsburgh. Steffan's got Nashville versus Pittsburgh, and I've got Pittsburgh versus Edmonton. So we'll see.
Steffan knew that a Predator could eat a music note, so.
Oh, don't make me relive this, please. So Edmonton currently has the series tied after a 7-1 thrashing of the Ducks. Game 7 will be Wednesday, May 10th, with the time still to be determined. And then in the Eastern Conference, we have the Penguins leading 3-2 with Game 6 tonight in 25 minutes start time. And then the Rangers or losing to the Senators right now, 3-2 with Game 6. That was this series is the series to watch because they keep going into overtime. They've gone into overtime twice now. I remember watching Game 2 going into double overtime after the Rangers had a 5-3 lead in the third period and ending up blowing that 6-5 to Senators. And then once again, the Senators won 5-4 in Game 5 in overtime to take the series lead.
I think that Penguins and Capitals series has had 2 overtimes as well.
It has not.
Just one? Okay.
Yeah. So we'll make our picks again since Cory's team has been eliminated again next week. I believe they'll only have Game 1 done, so it should be fair enough to pick again. Actually, maybe even Game 2. They move a lot quicker than the NBA. All right, and moving off of that subject to... Oh, man, I don't want to talk about that yet. Let's talk a little bit about MLS first. I think Cory knows what I wanted to. Oh, and we have our first comment, and we'll ignore that. For those not watching live, Steffan says he knows his shit. And I don't appreciate it. Because that's why I'm skipping the next subject and moving on to the MLS for a little bit. Maybe by then he'll have tuned out. I'm glad he didn't watch the UFC portion because that'd be a whole nother story. He's not brave enough to make the phone call. Our lines are waiting, Steffan. And so we have Toronto in first place in the Eastern Conference after, I believe, another win.
Yep.
Yeah, 2-1 against Orlando, and then a 1-0, or excuse me. And then Toronto ended up beating Seattle on Saturday. That was a rough game to watch. Portland, Steffan's team lost 3-0, so not looking too hot for us too. The Galaxy drew.
Yeah.
So we might not have anything to talk about other than NFL come October. All right, and more devastating soccer news for me, at least. Tottenham lost on Friday, 1-0, and Chelsea won today, 3-0, giving Chelsea a bigger lead in first place. This isn't updated. Excuse me. Well, it updates. It's now 7-point lead with 4 games left, and Chelsea's got basically the bottom teams to face off against. Well, Tottenham has to face off against Man U this weekend before they coast into the end of the year. And I think we'll talk about the MLB situation right now because Cory, did you read about the Red Sox situation?
No. Oh, yes, with the fan calling Adam Jones.
Yes.
The slur. Yes. I wanted to bring it up just because I wondered what your thoughts maybe were on trying to control the crowd. Is there any way to prevent the fans hurting or just yelling slurs to the players? How do we stop this? Because I don't think the players should have to deal with it to this level. I don't care if you say, hey, Adam Jones, you suck, or whatever. But once you start talking about family or racial slurs, I think you cross a line.
Definitely agreed. And when I first heard this story, I said, of course, it's in Boston. So for those of you that don't know, Adam Jones, the center fielder, I believe he is, for the Orioles.
Yes.
In a 5-2 defeat of the Red Sox last week, ended up having an interview with USA Today reporter and basically said he was called the N-word a handful of times tonight and had a bag of peanuts thrown at him. He also went on to say that it's unfortunate for him because all that happened to them was they were kicked out of the game, and instead he believes that they should be fined 10, 20, 30 grand, something that hurts them more than just banning them from the stadium, because that's going to be extremely hard to execute from a ticket person perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So whether or not we'll see if that actually happens or not, time will tell if it's successful. I also today found a story, and I have it pulled up for the video watchers, where Curt Schilling doesn't believe the Red Sox fan called the Orioles Adam Jones, what he's claiming. I also read another New York Times article where it was basically saying what I just said. Of course, it's Boston. So it's definitely well known that it's racial. It's a racial city. It's kind of hard to create something to prevent these type of things from happening. I did appreciate the next game. Boston ended up giving Adam Jones a standing ovation when he came up to bat, I believe. So yes. It's just unfortunate in this time of age that there is still a minority of people that can't move past the color of someone's skin. And it's very disrespectful. It's definitely unsafe for the players, and it's not even just unsafe for Adam Jones, it's unsafe for his teammates. So just because you throw a bag of peanuts at a player, that doesn't mean it's going to hit him. It could easily hit someone else. It could have hit one of the Red Sox players because it was on his way to the dugout. So there's often times where players change. How would that fan feel? I'm pretty sure it'd be like a Bartman situation where all the fans would hate him.
That fan is lucky that Adam Jones has the personality that he does, because he could have the personality of Ron Artest and go up into the stands and go meet him himself.
Yeah, exactly. So it's unfortunate that we're living in the 21st century and we're still dealing with situations like this that happened back when Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier for baseball to begin with. So
I don't know, maybe I'm wrong in saying this, but I always feel there's still has been like a little racial divide in baseball. I feel like they're the last major sport that hasn't really gotten past that. You don't see a lot of African Americans in baseball in general.
Very true.
Which is sad. After Jackie Robinson broke the barrier, all of a sudden it's been on the decline as far as African Americans playing Major League Baseball.
All right, and moving on, now that Steffan's gone, I will share with you our current NASCAR standings with everything updated. I'm pretty sure there's still some misspellings in there, but I was never known for my spelling.
It's fine.
Unfortunately, I had to put someone who isn't here's picture up because he once again took the win. He's on a hot streak now, apparently. And he now has the lead in our fantasy league. Luckily for us, Cory, we don't have to worry about him being right this week because Mother's Day weekend and there being no race. So that's the only positive I got for you out of that. Apparently Steffan didn't appreciate my comments and he left. So
well, it's a long season too. We have plenty of time.
Yeah. What happens? Because how many races are there? There's 42?
There's 36 races and the last 10 of them. So after 26,
oh, God.
The last 10 of them are the chase.
So does it reset with the chase?
Once the chase starts, the top 16 drivers become eligible to win the championship. Once the chase begins for our fantasy league, I am going to make it so all the drivers become available to us again.
All right. So I won't have to be making Danica Patrick picks.
No, you just need to come up with 26 drivers, and then for the final 10 races, you get them all back.
Okay. She didn't do too hot this week. I noticed she was towards the bottom, but
Yeah,
I
and
believe she did better than your pick this week.
she was a popular pick for that race too, just because there's always a huge crash in those kind of races. And unfortunately, Chase Elliott and AJ Allmendinger were the two that hit each other and caused the 18 car crash. So Chase Elliott was the driver I had.
All right. And in other racing history, history. I guess it's history since it only happens once a year and they tend to be popular. The Kentucky Derby happened this weekend. Did you catch any of that?
Yeah, I saw the whole thing actually.
I didn't even realize it was going on. I briefly watched it, I guess you could say then, because I noticed it on the TV and I was like, oh, was that the Kentucky Derby? Isn't he like the brother of one of the horses? I can't remember. 92 favorite Always Dreaming ended up winning.
Yes, the fifth year in a row that the odds favorite has won. Yep.
I'm trying to remember. Someone told me that he was the brother of one of the past winners.
I did not know that.
I think that's why he got the favorite nod. I don't know when the next race is, but usually it's within like the next 2 weeks, the Belmont Stakes. Or is it the other one? I can't. There's 3, the Triple Crown.
Yes.
So we'll see. Do you think he's gonna? We'll do a little prediction. Do you think he's gonna get the Triple Crown?
No, I don't.
Do you think he's gonna lose that last race, like all the other horses seem to do?
Yeah, I think the last one is Belmont. What's the one in between there?
I have no idea.
That's the one that's next. But yeah,
but usually most of the horse racers tend to save their horses for that race, just to be that special horse to beat them.
Yeah.
Plus, I can't imagine all that traveling is good for the horse. I mean, they're going from Kentucky to that other place and then to New York.
Yeah. I also know that this one, the odds, even though Always Dreaming was the odds on favorite, a lot of the experts said it was a wide open race. So no one looks at Always Dreaming as a dominant horse.
See if I can find out what that stupid other race is. It's funny, you type in Kentucky Derby and all the other like races, past races.
Type in Triple Crown.
Don't tell me what to do. You're starting to sound like Steffan. I'm afraid I'll get like Crown winners. How long are the Preakness is the other one. Yes. There we go. And that is in no idea where that is. There's actually a website for the Triple Crown. Looks like a fan-run website, though. So the last race, I believe, is on June 3rd. American Pharaoh won the Triple Crown last in 2015. I think he's Always Dreaming is Pharaoh's brother. That's why he came in as the favorite.
Okay.
The Preakness is happening on May 20th, and then Belmont happens on June 10th. Bam. There's the stats right in front of me. Cool. All right. What else do we have to talk about, Corey? Do you know?
Pretty close to wrapping it up. Did you want
to talk about the boxing at all?
Not that there was a lot to cover, because that was one of the most lopsided fights I've ever seen. It was 120 to 108 on every single scorecard. For those of you who can't do math, that's giving every single round to one fighter, which was Canelo Alvarez. Julio Cesar Chavez, I put up on our site. I was excited because he looked like he actually made the weight comfortably, and he looked good. And then he claimed come fight night that his body couldn't recover and he had no energy. So he didn't even throw really any punches. He landed 74 punches, I believe, and Canelo landed 213. So it was a little lopsided. The most exciting thing of the whole fight was afterwards it being announced that the middleweight champion Gennady Golovkin had agreed to fight Canelo Alvarez on September 16th. We talked about that earlier. That took away the date from McGregor and Mayweather, supposedly, according to Dana White. So that'll be the next big event for boxing. Hopefully it goes much better.
So I'm going to attempt something. Let's see if this actually works. Oh, hold on. Got to turn off my pop-up blocker. Fun for the live listener. Oh, terrible.
Would they block it?
I don't know. I just went straight to voicemail.
Oh.
It's trying to contact someone. He who must not be named that keeps commenting on our chat room right now.
One thing I was going to say, the whole theatrics of the thing was pretty interesting. After the fight, Canelo was being interviewed, and the interviewer, Max Kellerman, said, "I hear you have an announcement to make," and they announced, and then he said, "Yeah, I have agreed officially to fight Golovkin." And then the lights kind of flicker, and then this highlight of Golovkin on the big board shows up. It was very like WWE-ish.
Kind of like a setup.
It was a whole setup. And then Golovkin was at the fight, and he comes walking right into the ring, and they say, "Oh, you know, Canelo, everyone said you were scared to fight Golovkin." And he says, he goes, "I have no fear. Fear left my body when I was born." And then he goes, "Oh, okay." And he goes, "Golovkin, Gennady, do you have anything to say to Canelo?" And he said, "Just, I hope you prepare well and good luck." And then they go, "Canelo, do you have anything to say to Gennady?" And he goes, "Luck is for the mediocre."
Oh, jeez.
So the tone has been set. So I think boxing fans are excited.
All right, we're going to try one more time. Do you think it was like a setup?
I don't know.
Like, you think the fight was fixed?
Was fixed? I don't know. It really did seem like.
Oh, hello, caller. You're live on air. Caller?
Must have lost him.
You're live on air. Please, no cursing, sir. Yes, you are. Who is this? Oh, you're our former co-host. Wow, our viewers just doubled with your call. So I mean, and then it went to 0. So I guess there's that. So I'm gonna warn you. Our special guest did not have kind words to your top 5. I played it for him.
Just to let you know, Kevin, you'll have to repeat what Steffan's saying. I can't hear him.
Yeah. Oh crap. Let me fix that first. I guess since Cory can't hear you. He should be able to. Maybe actually that's why. Ooh, some live magic. Hold on. There we go. Let's try that. Cory, can you hear Steffan? Steffan, start talking.
Hey, Cory.
Yeah, I can hear.
Now I can hear myself.
Oh, great. Well, now I can't hear him. Hold on. All right. Go ahead.
Hello?
Hello.
Are you there, Corey?
I am.
I hear him now. Unfortunately.
So we all
Corey
can hear
hear
each
me?
other? Yeah, I can hear you.
Now we can do live viewers because I know how to do it. Way to go, Steffan. You not being on this podcast worked out for the best, I guess.
See, I did something productive today.
Yeah. You contributed in a very positive way to this podcast.
And we know
You're
our phone
welcome.
line works.
Well, at least I know
I
how
still
to
don't
use
hear
it.
Corey.
Oh, he can't hear you? but
That's all right.
yeah, it's better that way. How about
I
now?
just hear you.
Hey, Stefan, do you hear me?
I don't hear anybody.
Well, that's because we don't like talking to
I don't even know if I'm still on.
you. Yes, you're still on.
Okay.
What is he calling for?
What is he calling for? I called him, actually.
What am I called? Yeah. I was calling to, I was trying to tell you guys that I told you so about Cleveland Cavaliers.
I'm sorry, we're still having technical difficulties on this end.
Oh, now I can hear Corey.
Yeah, I figured it out.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I ran out of minutes. I'm gonna have to cut this call short. Are you making a return to the podcast in dramatic fashion next week, or are we doing this by ourselves?
We'll see. I'll have a listen, see how terrible you guys were, and if I got to come back and make it great again, then I'll have to do that.
I think you need to return to make some more star-studded picks for the NHL.
Yeah,
And
absolutely will.
And I definitely think you should listen to our special guest because that was a fun hour of MMA talk that you missed.
Yeah, I'll have to listen to it this week for sure. I might have to have some words for him when I go on. We'll see.
I'll give you the first minute to rebuttal. How about that?
All right, that sounds fair.
Any closing remarks before I hang up on you? Steffan, you with this voice appearance, you still are on every podcast, so you got that over Corey too.
I know.
Is that why you accepted
I had to make sure I got it.
Is that why you accepted my phone call?
Yeah. I think the first time is because I was watching you on YouTube, and that's probably why it went straight to my voicemail.
All right. Well,
close out.
We'll see you next week. I'm holding it to.
All right, I'll be there
because you need to make some predictions. Did you have a quick top 5 to throw out for us? Top 5.
Yeah, my quick top 5. My quick hot top, non-biased, totally biased. Don't even know what I'm talking about. Top 5.
Street signs.
We'll go with a topic Corey might like. I don't even know. Top 5.
You might like it, Corey. He just doesn't know.
I just don't know it. Sounds like something a guy in a van would tell me.
We're going to go with the top 5 boxers that Rocky Balboa fought, okay?
Do you know 5 guys Rocky fought?
I was going to say, how many Rockies
were there? I don't think I do. I don't think I do, but we're going to try. I don't know if I know all their names. Number 5 would have to be when he fought his son, Tommy Gunn, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, Tommy. All right. That guy was a little pussy, so
He wants
he's gonna be
confirmation,
number 5.
Corey.
Number 4. I'll probably have to say. Shit, I don't know if I can think of 5. Number 4, we'll go with. Does he fight anybody in that Creed movie? Does he in that movie?
No, he doesn't fight anyone in Creed. He's just the trainer.
This is more painful than the top 5 pound for pound fighters.
He fought Hulk Hogan. He fought Apollo Creed.
Oh yeah. Hulk Hogan. Okay, hold on. I just need Hulk Hogan. All right, I can figure out the rest. I just needed one more. These are the top five pound for pound fighters that Rocky Balboa fought. So we had Tommy Gunn. Then we'll throw Apollo Creed in there because I feel like they got too buddy there at the end. And I think I'll throw in Mr. T. Throw him in there.
Yep.
Number 3. Number 2, we'll throw Hulk Hogan in there. And then number 1's got to be Ivan.
Yep. Drago.
The Russian. Yeah, that dude was a beast. He was an animal. That's my top 5.
Well played.
Do you agree with those, or you think that there should be a different order?
I'd put Creed number 1.
Creed number 1?
Yeah, Creed beat him.
Yeah, but didn't he lose to somebody else also?
Yeah, I think he may have lost to Hulk Hogan, honestly. Did he lose to Drago too? He's not undefeated.
I don't know. I think I'm just going with a full body of work here, and I feel like Apollo Creed was just he just kind of they got too buddy at the end. So
Yeah, he did end up coaching his son at the end.
I haven't really watched too many fights, so Rocky Balboa fights. I think I've only seen the first Rocky.
Yeah, I didn't see Rocky fights coming on. That was out of top 5 out of nowhere.
Yeah. I wasn't prepared for this top 5.
No, me either.
Super secret, unbiased, biased. I still need that song so I can work on your alerts.
Maybe it needs to be the Rocky theme song. Apparently.
I'll have more time this week to figure one out.
All right, your deadline is next Monday.
All right, sounds good.
All right, thanks for joining us once again, Steffan.
Yep, no problem. Signing out. See you guys later.
Later.
I had to hang up on him before we had that Go Zags. You like my picture I threw up? I was getting tired of being on there.
Yeah.
Like, throw a picture of him up. That way, whenever he talked, it'd pop up. All right. So, I think we covered it all. Somehow, we flew through all the other stuff. I like that conversation we had with Ben. We'll definitely at least try and get him back on, whether it's just a quick 5-minute recap, pre-recorded or whatever.
No, that was good.
I mean, it was definitely nice to have someone other than is he watching? No, than Steffan to make comments about the fights. So
we'll have to get someone else that knows soccer on sometime so you can have a good conversation about it.
Yeah, but I don't know any soccer fans other than that like watch it seriously. So we got until next August to find out. So all right. So next week we'll have UFC 211 to talk about more NBA, NHL. No NASCAR, so I can take that off our list.
Maybe you can get Ben back on to do the recap.
Ben, maybe. Yeah. I will contact the other Ben, give him some face time because that'll be another hour segment of talk with him. So we'll get that out of the way. Maybe even talk about the end of the May fight with Gustafsson and Teixeira.
Mm-hmm.
That fight. That way we don't have to do it again. We'll also recap more Premier League just for you. And whatever else happens that's popular. Who knows? More race.
We'll have more baseball talk probably.
Yeah, we'll talk about our fantasy leagues. Since
Maybe by then John Ross will have beaten Usain Bolt in the 40.
More to come on that next episode. All right, for Cory, I'm Kevin. Wow, I don't have to say another name. That was weird. Once again, I want to thank Ben for joining us.
Yep, thanks, Ben.
Steffan for his awesome top 5 that he was able to contribute with. That was painful. But
it left me flabbergasted.
I think I got a new open out of it, so we'll see. Thanks for watching this long, if you actually watch this long. And thanks for watching overall. It's appreciated. So is feedback. So if you want to send a nice little text to our number 425-780-6355. And until next week, this has been We Might Know Sports.